Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Your pals, Matt and Tom here from the containment unit. You are here for another one of our special interviews, exclusive with our friend of the fandom, beloved by everyone everywhere, Robin Shelby.
Hi, you guys. I love you guys. How are you doing?
We're not too bad, Robin. How are you? It's been a crazy year here in Southern California and the whole world.
It has. It's been very crazy for everybody, and everybody's a little on edge and a little stressed out and stir crazy. But I'm grateful. My family's healthy. I'm healthy, so I can't really complain too much.
Yeah,
That's
that's great.
Maddie, how are you doing? You good today?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I mean, where else would I rather be right now?
Oh,
It's true.
ditto.
It's true. Well, Robin, we Matt and I have talked a lot about since we launched the group and started doing these signings. I mentioned this to you before. You've been on our list of people that we dream to work with since the start. Everybody expects us to work with you. You're known in the fan base. Everyone, your face is up there with Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd.
No.
You're synonymous with Ghostbusters.
You're too kind. You're way too kind, but thank you. I appreciate that.
You really are one of the great ambassadors
Yeah.
for the franchise. You're at conventions I'm trying to get you to Orlando. That is what I'm waiting for.
I would love that. I've done one convention in Florida, and it was Pensacola.
Not
it was
really
at the-
Florida. It's
and
like
it was the heart
Alabama.
of summer. It was probably 150 degrees, and I'm not like a sweater per se, but like I would leave the convention area of the hotel within a minute and a half. I was just drenched.
Yeah, it's rough, but Tom loves it here.
Yeah, I've been there a couple times for my day job, and
Oh,
humidity.
good.
But at least I get to see my guy here. But actually, that's a good segue. Talking about conventions. COVID's made things crazy for everybody. Matt and
Yes.
I and a lot of our members were avid con goers, and we miss it. And you are an avid con goer. You've been to many cons all around, and I wonder, does that change for you now in a post-pandemic world? Like, where do you see cons going in your future on the circuit?
I had to cancel, I think, 3 or 4 events this year, which I'm always bummed. I always have fun. The fans are always, amazing to be around, and they're so giving. I was bummed. In a post-pandemic world, it's going to be weird. For anyone who's met me at a con, I'm a huge hugger. Is that going to be possible in a post-pandemic, like right away? Is that going to be safe or comfortable for everybody to be the way I'd like to be with the fans? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see where we are when I go back to a con.
Sure. Well, your manager, Derek Mackey, he did something nobody else did. He kind of innovated this virtual con with In-House Con last summer.
Yeah.
Now it seems everybody's doing it. I've seen virtual cons from every company, and it's like that started with Derek, and we were super excited because it's like all these Ghostbusters names, and we get to see and hear from them, live. And I think that's been a nice way to bridge the gap for the fans and give people something to look forward to.
I had so much fun. They called it In-House Con, I think is what he called it. And it was, what a brilliant idea. You can still connect with some people, and it's safe for everybody. I miss it so much, but it was fun to do that. It was fun to connect that way.
Yeah, I think that we were probably, and Matt, maybe you can keep me honest here, but I think we were kind of inspired a little bit because our first Zoom was kind of post. We had talked about recording stories and stuff of the bits behind the scenes and the cast members, and I think that In-House Con kind of showed us that it was possible and that people were interested in that.
Absolutely. Well, and then on top of that too, Robin, and I should say thank you for helping me with Tom's Christmas gift with Cameo. I mean, you've been crushing the Cameo game as well.
That's so much fun to do. And I think I said this in the Cameo. It seemed strange to make a cameo for him because we're friends. We're buddies. We go back. And I wanted to make it as personal as possible because I do know you guys and you're amazing and you've been helpful. But yeah, Cameo is great. I love it.
Well, it was lovely, Robin. I was very touched. These guys did not tell me. I had no idea. It popped up on my phone one day and I was like, wait, what is Robin doing in the group?
I'm glad you liked it. And it was great to wish you a happy birthday. It's awesome.
Great. So let's talk about you, Robin. Now, you know, a lot of people know, you know, your involvement in Ghostbusters 2, and then of course Answer the Call. But you, as far as I can tell, you started with Willow. Was that your first film project? So how did Willow transition to Ghostbusters? Like, how did those two things bridge to each other?
Well, Willow happened about a year before I was even brought back to audition for Ghostbusters 2. I was a troll, for those who don't know, a troll that got eaten off the bridge by a two-headed Hydra monster. My resume is so weird. It's really weird. But and then a year later, I get a phone call from my agent, like, well, they kind of ILM. I said, I love ILM. Like, yeah, I want to go back. They have something they want you to audition for, and they wouldn't tell me what it was. And I showed up, went through a few scenarios, still didn't know what it was. And then when I got the job, they told me what it was, and I about hit the floor. I was a fan like everybody else, and now this is a chance to like step into some pretty huge shoes and fill a pretty iconic character. So it was a little scary and exciting all at the same time.
So you were a fan of the original film going into the second one.
Oh, of course. Oh, absolutely.
So tell us about, you know, I've heard from a couple of your peers about the ILM days and working on the film there. You know, tell us what that was like, walking into that building in what I understand is an industrial area or maybe, but tell us about ILM and your experience there.
Well, I was working with, like, I knew they're the best of the best in the industry. It's like they're the most brilliant people on the face of the planet. And for me at the time, being kind of a relative newbie to the whole situation, I was a kid in a candy store, like Charlie and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, walking through the chocolate factory. You know, it was just like, wow, I couldn't believe it. But everybody was so sweet. They were so helpful. They watched over me. Like, most of the people on the set were like brothers, making sure the little sister was okay when we were shooting. They were just incredible. So it was surreal. It was just kind of, couldn't even take it all in at the time, really.
So I know that Slimer was in the film, out the film, in the film, out the film, which created some tension, but it also created some crunch time work for you guys, right? Like, I'm reading 15-hour days. How do you do that?
I was not the original person that was cast as Slimer. Bobby Porter, I believe was cast. And then he was written out. Like you said, Slimer was written out. And then when they wrote him back in, Bobby Porter was already working on another project. So he was not available, which made the opportunity for me to be called and be able to audition for it. So I got super lucky. And that's how my opportunity for that came about. They just had to fill shoes, and it was quick. Like you said, it had to happen really fast because I want to say I was shooting like 4 or 5 months before it actually got released.
Wow.
And they had to rebuild the costume to fit me. The face had to be redone but the body, Bobby Porter and I were about the same size. So that wasn't a deal, but it's the head inside was all built to my face. So there was a mask that fit to my nose and my cheeks. So they had to redo all that. We had to rehearse. And we did have 15-hour days. And one day I was driving. So cute. So cute. I love it. That's so cute. Say hi. Say hi.
I will.
Okay. So we were working 15-hour days, and I was driving from ILM, which is near Mill Valley, back home to San Jose, California, which is about an hour and a half. So I was waking up, driving an hour and a half, working a 15-hour day, driving back home an hour and a half, sleeping for about 4 hours. And then it all started again. I fell asleep at the wheel going home one night. I did. I was just exhausted. And it's hard physical work. I was exhausted. Luckily, I just went off the shoulder of the road. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't hurt myself.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, if you're going to fall asleep at the wheel, scared me. And I went back the next day and I told him what had happened. And like, look, go home, pack your stuff. There's a hotel 5 minutes away. We're going to put you up and you're just going to be able to have breakfast, wake up later and not have to drive home. And it was a lifesaver. But again, that's them watching out for me from the beginning. They had no idea that I had that kind of a commute.
Yeah.
But the 15-hour days were just exhausting. But so
And
much fun.
how heavy was the suit while you were in it? Do you have any idea?
I didn't weigh it, but like, oh my gosh, I'm 4'11", and the costume probably weighed like at least a third of my body weight is what I'm thinking. I mean, it was heavy.
Yeah.
That it was a bigger deal than the heat. The heaviness was really, really a lot to deal with. It's pretty horrible. But like I said, they watched out for me. They made sure I had breaks. They made sure I was okay. And the shoulders took a beating doing the job, but I would do it all over again for sure.
Yeah, Mark Siegel told us about kind of the construction of how they designed the actual bodysuit. It's he said it was essentially like sandbags or bean bags, and then something layered over, and it sounded heavy just when he was like describing it. So actually wearing it, I can't even imagine.
That wasn't the heavy part. What he's describing is kind of the outer layer and the fat rolls that Slimer has. The heavy part was the mechanics underneath the head, and it was all like attached to my head and the shoulders. But all the weight was they could operate everything in the face, the eyes, the lips, the nose could sniff, the eyebrows could move. All those were hooked up to wires and motors. And there's some pictures you can just see. There's like a metal plate that went over my chest and on my back, and then over my shoulders. And it was a lot. So not so much the costume is heavy, but not the worst part was like probably the head, the mechanics.
Right. Now, there was you want to say hi? Say hello?
Do you want to come say hello?
Oh, say hi.
Now he's getting shy.
Now he's shy. Let him know I said hi.
I will. She says hello.
Aw.
So Robin, you had a couple different scenes in Ghostbusters 2. There he is. In Ghostbusters 2. I'm partial to the bus driver scene, but I know there was a bunch of stuff cut because we've seen still images from some interaction with Louis Tully.
Yes.
So was there additional stuff beyond that was shot that you're aware of that maybe never has seen the light of day?
There's a deleted scene where Louis is searching for Slimer and finds him. He's like behind him and he like shoots the gun, proton gun. That, and there's a scene where I was eating chicken off the they hung it from the ceiling, and I think it's just before that scene. But you mentioned the bus. I think the biggest piece that I was bummed, and I think some of the team, if I can speak for them, they were bummed too, is Slimer picks Louis up, but he also dropped him off when he was done, and he gets off the bus to go follow Louis to be with him, to help him.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Louis says, no, you can't go, but hey, with those arms, let's go bowling. I bet you're a good bowler. And so Slimer licks him and then spins off and he's gone. That to me was like so much fun. And because he had already, Louis, his part, Rick Moranis had already recorded it all about 3 months before that. So I had to take the tape of what he recorded to my hotel room and listen to it over and over. So I knew the sequence and I knew his speech and when he was saying things. So obviously I couldn't see anything, so I had to know. But that went so well. Like the whole team worked so well in that, and it turned out great. But I'd love to see ILM, if you're listening, I would love to see that put together. It's probably in some deep storage somewhere, but it was really cool. I think that would have been really neat.
It's interesting you say that Slimer licked Louis, because that's very much like a real Ghostbusters move. And so that really lends to that theory that they were trying to bring the second movie more to the cartoon. So that's interesting. And
he was becoming helpful. He was trying to help Louis out and go with him and see what he could do to help. So a little change of character in Ghostbusters 2 for Slimer there.
Indeed. Oh, that's fascinating. I hadn't heard that one before.
So let me just ask a real, like, this may be a dumb question, but I just feel like I got to ask it. You mentioned the eating and the chicken. So when you're in the suit and Slimer's eating, where does all the food go?
Interesting you asked that question. You know that he's eating a sub sandwich. I'm sure and that is in the film. Well, the sub sandwich that goes in the mouth has to go somewhere, and it's right up against my face. So I smelled like onion for about 2 weeks after that. But the whole sandwich just went in the mouth, and that went up against my face. Yeah.
That sounds pleasant.
Yeah, sounds
But
great.
again, at the end of that day, oh my gosh, I was so messy and exhausted. But again, so much fun. It was so much fun.
So
So that's where it went.
So we're talking 1988, and then Ghostbusters 2 releases. Do you stay in touch with any of the the people you worked with on the film? Do you stay in touch over the years?
I stayed in touch. I still stay in touch. Who I adore, Mark Siegel. He's one of the sweetest people on the face of the planet. Jim Fye. I still am in touch with him. Who did the Statue of Liberty, among other things. Tony Scleri, the ghost jogger. And Tim Lawrence, I had been in touch with the whole time. And of course, very sad that he's no longer with us, but he left a legacy of a lot of really, really great work behind him. So yeah, there's some people that I knew leaving that I was not going to lose touch with them.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I think for me, one of the highlights, I know, and I don't know what your opinion is of it, Robin, but Ghostbusters Fan Fest in 2019, so much of it was an absolute mess. But for Tom and I, like that was the first time I got to meet you in person. You probably don't remember that. But then I met Jim for the first time, and Tom and I had been working hard to meet Jim, and he is just such a sweet, sweet guy. Tim, so funny, he was
brilliant man.
Yeah, and to meet all those guys in person, and you're talking about how sweet they are, like you can absolutely sense that.
Jim Fye were kind of like partners in crime. We were going through the same thing at the same time, just right across from each other. There's even video of us being together while he's shooting the Statue of Liberty, and Bill Murray came in for the day. But it just kind of when you're going through something kind of surreal at the same time, I think we bonded instantly. Jim Fye and I did. He's just such a sweetheart. He really is.
So, let me ask you this, and I asked the same question to Jim once because there was I don't want to call it the dark days, but there was a period of time in the 90s where Ghostbusters, there wasn't really much going on. And then you jumped on the con circuit and kind of came back into the fandom. I'm within probably the last 15 years. I'm not even sure when, but what brought you back? So you go from 88 to when you came back, what brought you back into the world of Ghostbusters?
There is a girl, her name was Doreen Mullman. And she ran a website, a Ghostbusters website. She was a big fan. She's no longer with us, but she found out that there was a person behind the costume. A lot of people had no idea that there was even a woman associated with being an actress inside the costume. And she kind of brought me into the fandom. So I think that's how people actually got to know the person that was in there. If it hadn't been for her, I'm not sure it would have been such a part of the fandom. So I'm really grateful for that. Like she went to seek me out and I want to interview you. And that was the first time I had been interviewed at all about the project. And that's kind of snowballed from there.
Wow.
So in that time before, was it something like trivia? You're at a party and you're like, oh, hey, by the way, I was in this Ghostbusters movie once. Was it something that impacted your life at all in the ensuing years until then? Or was it something that was just kind of, life?
It was like kind of life experience, like you said, trivia. Like if you're in the store and you saw a Ghostbusters shirt, be like, hey, guess what? I worked on that. Like, yeah, right, sure, okay. So a lot of people didn't even believe me at that point. But yeah, it's just it really was kind of under wraps. My friends knew, my family knew, but until I kind of started being interviewed and getting to meet the fans, nobody really knew there was even a person in there.
Yeah, well, and obviously in 2016, that was a big celebration of Ghostbusters as well. So
yes.
Talk to us about that. I know that it almost seems like that the fans demanded that Robin Shelby be in and answer the call. And
you're sweet.
We were blessed in that way. So talk to us about that. How did that all come together and what was that like?
Yeah, it's a fun story to tell. It was near Christmas time, and the year before Answer the Call came out. And of course I thought, oh, photography is done. There's no way I'm going to be part of it. I really wish I would have, but it is what it is. And then I get it. I just went on Twitter not too long before that, and I get a message from Paul Feig, who I had never met. I had never met Paul Feig. He's like, Robin, hi, I'm Paul, and I'm kind of interested. If I have a little something, if you're interested that you could do in the film, if you'd like, let me know. And I I screamed in my apartment, and my husband, what's wrong? Oh my God, what's going on? And I told him, he's like, well, stop talking to me. Tell Paul yes. Tell him you'll do it. So that's kind of how it came about, a message on Twitter, literally. But that kind of spoke to, I think Paul was really trying to include a lot of people. It was kind of like a love letter to the fans, I think. I think he really wanted to make it a special thing for the fans. So I'm grateful that Paul brought me in. I really am. And for the fans who said, hey, we'd love to see Robin in this. I think maybe he heard that. I never really asked him how he knew that I existed, to be honest, and why he reached out. But I'm sure the fans had a part in that, and I appreciate that so much.
Paul, he's another super sweet human being.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And the best dressed that you'll meet anywhere.
It's impeccable. He is impeccably dressed all the time. And here's a fun story. When I went to go, I worked for a day on Answer the Call. Compared to, it's a day on Answer the Call in an air-conditioned sound booth, right? And I spent 6 weeks in a hot costume for Ghostbusters 2. So really, 2 different jobs, really. And I remember I showed up, I did my work, and then Paul Feig said, I'm doing some editing on this film. Do you want to join me? You want to watch? And I had an audition for the Gilmore Girls, and I had to leave. So I had to tell Paul Feig, no, I don't want to. And I wanted to so bad. I was just so bummed. The one day. But yes, he's so incredibly sweet. He really is.
Yeah. I love the Gilmore Girls though. So I get it. I get the tension.
I had to go. It's like, it's like when you have an audition like that, you just don't blow it off. You go do it. But Paul reached out and was going to actually have me sit with him, which I thought was, again, it speaks to kind of the person he is. Yeah. He's really cool.
See, I don't know that I knew at the time going in, because I was at the premiere for Answer the Call, and I don't know that I remember. I don't think I knew at that point you were in the movie until I saw you walk in the green carpet. And I saw you walk in the green carpet, and I was like, well, Robin's here, so maybe she's in this movie. And then of course I saw the movie, and I was like, oh, well, obviously, that's where she. But I don't know that I knew. I think it was out there, but maybe I don't know that I knew.
See, to me, if I remember correctly, there was no official announcement. It was just this rumor that Miss Slimer is going to be, Lady Slimer is going to be in the film. And then I just remember, it has to be Robin. They have to get Robin to be Miss Slimer. And I just remember seeing all this hype that way, but no official announcement until the credits.
I was allowed, I think a few weeks before the film, I was allowed to say that I was part of it. I was not allowed to say in what way. And like the day that I went into the recording booth, I signed an NDA, and they're serious. It's like, you sign an NDA and you don't talk publicly about it at all. But I was allowed to say I'm part of the film, but people asked, and it was the day that I was on the the green carpet that I was allowed to actually disclose what it was that I did on the film.
Interesting. Is it Miss Slimer? Are they like? Do we know that? I'm not sure. Are they married in the movie? Is it?
It's actually Lady Slimer.
Yeah.
I always joke, like, I think I'm one of the few actors in Hollywood that I've played my own love interest.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like I said, my resume is really weird, but I own it. It's okay. It's all good.
That's pretty crazy. So that premiere was pretty amazing. It was, we love everything Ghostbusters. It's a big year for Ghostbusters. Probably, hopefully, maybe this year it's going to be a big year for Ghostbusters. I mean,
what a crazy year, right?
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
What a crazy year. And the people that are organizing everything, that's got to be tough on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Ghost Corps, because it's a pandemic that nobody counted on. And you want people to be safe, but you want to get your movie out there in the right way. And I don't envy them. That's got to be a tough balancing act to not upset the fans, but get your movie out there and do it. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Oh, it is. And so they did this. Maybe you have some light you can shine on this. Hopefully they don't yell at us for bringing it up. But there was a documentary that the Buenos did. So they did one for Ghostbusters. They did one for Ghostbusters 2. This Ghostbusters 2 documentary, it's been long in the works, and they got everybody to chat about it. I assume you're a part of that.
That was my first big interview that I'd ever done, was with the Buenos, who I liked them instantly. Another case of meeting somebody, and we did the interview. We ended up chatting for 5 hours after that, with no room in the conversation. Like, we just like, boom. They're great. They're a lot of fun. They're very sweet people.
It's very cool. Yeah, we love.
So yes.
Yeah, I'm glad. We're looking forward to it, because what we've learned, we chatted with Mark Siegel and Jim and such. We've learned there's a lot that went on with Ghostbusters 2, and a lot of behind the scenes that just never has really been talked about.
Yep.
There's not as much known about the making of as there is with the first film, and so every time we learn something new, and it's been quite amazing for us, and I know a lot of fans are looking forward to seeing that movie too, so we can kind of hear how it went, So we're looking forward to seeing you there.
You might find a few fun little tidbits and facts, I think it's going to be great. I can't wait for it. It's like, what, 8 years in the making? 9 years in the making? It's been a while. But it's been a labor of love for them, I know. I cannot wait to see it, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
We're excited, too. And, Robin, I've mentioned this to you in the past. There was a moment in time where you saved my life the first time I met you at San Diego Comic-Con. In 2016, you gave me a green Twinkie, and then that was the sustenance I needed to survive the day. Anyone who's been to San Diego Comic-Con knows how it goes. But Robin, you saved my life that day.
No, I didn't. I just gave you a sugar rush. That's all.
A sugar rush. You gave me a sugar high. And so I'm forever grateful.
Oh.
But not everybody has that experience, and not everyone's able to get to a con where you're appearing. Not everyone's had the pleasure to meet you and spend time with you. And so that's where we come in. And in this pandemic world, what we're trying to do is bring the fans and the talent together, so they have something fun to distract them from the horror that is our pandemic right now. So
Right.
We're truly thankful, and we're excited to work with you. Matt, you want to announce the project?
Well, Tom, we kind of felt like having just one Slimer project was not enough. I mean, there's so much Slimer to love. And so with Robin, we will be kicking off our Ghostbusters 2 Slimer project. And we already have a lot of great names kind of queued up, ready to go to knock this thing out. So we're super excited about it. And just in case some of you watching don't know what we do, our goal is we have this great image that Tom prepares and gets ready, and then we have as many cast and crew from the men and women who helped bring these characters to life, which, like Robin told you, it's a whole team of people, and we want to celebrate all of them and their contributions to bringing Slimer alive in Ghostbusters 2, my favorite of the films.
And that project is Robin Shelby approved. I shared
Yes.
that with you a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely.
So for those watching, by the time you see this interview, orders will be live. Projects, send-ins, photos, Slimer butts, whatever it is you want.
I've signed like way too many Slimer butts. I'm telling you, there are cheeks signed all over this country. Yeah, Slimer butts, but I love
It
it.
gives me a new eBay search to save.
Yeah.
I love it.
My favorite part was I brought you a little Slimer, and you signed the butt, and then you're like, let's give it a little heart. There's a little heart on the Slimer butt, and I was like, all right.
I kind of do that with almost everything that I sign. It's kind of like my little thing that I do. It's fun. I had a heart.
You have a heart. You have a big heart, Robin. And we have big love for you. We want to thank you for spending time with us today, sharing your history, and also making yourself available to the fans.
Yep.
We do this for fun. We are fans. We just enjoy chatting with folks like yourself. That's what makes it worthwhile to us. And we know that in times like this, it's not easy for everybody to connect. So we're here to help facilitate that. So thank you again for taking time.
And it's interesting. It's like you are a fan, but so many times in my crossing the paths of all the fans, it goes beyond being a fandom, and like I made so many friends, and you're one of them. I don't look at you as a fan. And there are many people that I've met that I keep in touch with, and I consider them people that I can lean on and go to and call them friend. So
I thank you for saying that, Robin. I feel the same way. You're a delightful person to chat with, and I always have a big smile on my face whenever we send a little message here and there. And I can't wait until we're able to see each other again,
Yes.
hopefully soon.
Well, Robin, again, just thank you so much. We do have such a deep appreciation for you and your contributions to Ghostbusters, the whole entire franchise, and just being so great to your fans and being so accessible to your fans. So thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing us to work with us or work with you. And with that, Tom, I guess we're out.
We're out. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you guys for having me. And it's going to be great to work with you. Thank you for asking me.